In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. 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 In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. In the zone, in the zone, in the zone, podcast. 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 In the zone, podcast.
Yo, what's happening, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the In the Zone podcast. It is your boy, B. Foster. Brian Foster's in the building. Hey, happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us for another segment. We had a couple ideas me and Sean were tossing around the other day, and we couldn't really land on one.
So we doing them all?
So much going on, so we're going to do them all. We're going to do them all. So, hey, again, thank you for tuning in. Love you for joining us. These are real conversations with real people. What's going on with you, Sean?
Nothing, just trying to get drunk. How you doing, player?
Oh, okay, all right. Well, we didn't know
I so rarely get drunk on the podcast.
that's
the
why
best
we're
thing is over.
excited.
Yes.
It'll be back in later this month because I got to be fabulous for my birthday. But
Oh, well, let's,
Well, let's
get
do
and
it.
Greece. So
let's get this
Let's
in
do it now,
tonight.
then.
Greece. Okay, let's talk later.
We'll do that later. All right, so everything good?
yeah, everything is life is life.
Life is life.
But we here.
We are
But
here.
y'all don't care about life. I'm here. I'm ready to have fun. We're gonna talk some shit.
Okay,
That's
sweet.
it. That's all
All
I
right, well, let's get our guest intro real quick, and we're gonna get right into the conversation. On my right side,
Does she
you all-
even need an introduction
you
at
all
this
have seen
point?
her. You all know her. She's the fave of the Love Is Blind episodes, and much. There you go. Already getting love from Stephanie in the chat. She already loud. My girl Erica, what's going on?
Hey, y'all. Hey.
I'm gonna change her middle name to In the Zone.
Yeah. do that for a few people. Yeah, Jen. And then on my left over here, actually a new fan favorite, was just on a couple of weeks ago. He's here to keep exposing you all to intelligence and strong black manhood. It's my dude Will. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, I'm living the dream, and also got some good alcohol in the building again. A little tequila,
Yeah.
little Woodford double.
I'm
Oh,
almost convinced that's why Brian had him here because he's the only guest that's ever brought us liquor.
Let me tell you something.
So-
That's not true.
That's
not entirely true.
I'm sorry,
Chris, you right. Chris
I'm
brought
sorry.
liquor. You brought us liquor?
She's brought liquor.
I
Oh, my
bring liquor
bad.
and order food.
Oh,
That's
I'm
not
sorry.
new
My
business.
bad.
Oh,
My
wow.
bad. My bad.
He's the only one that's brought good liquor, though.
Oh.
So
He does bring the fancy shit.
I bring what you drink, my guy.
that's not the good shit, though. So, welcome to our guest. Let's get it kicked off. So, like I said, we were having so here's what's funny. I do a lot of my best thinking in weird times. Like I might wake up at 4:00 in the morning and I got all these thoughts rambling in my head. I got to grab my phone and start taking notes or whatever. This week, for whatever reason, I was in church.
They started texting me
You know?
feverishly.
And all these ideas for show topics were hitting me. The pastor was giving me motivation. Things he was saying were triggering thoughts in my
That
head
was
for
the Lord
further
speaking through
conversation.
you.
Speaking through
Hallelujah.
speaking through my pastor. So I was texting Sean and we figured these things out. And the first thing that hit me, I was thinking, and let's start off here. You all were just having a lot of conversations. We just had this boycott on Friday. One day boycott, not to spend any money except for Black businesses, right? And a lot of people were saying that's a waste of time. There's nothing that could happen in a one-day boycott. Why y'all even doing it? You're not strong enough to do a month, and da 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 da. And a lot of people had other feelings that it could be effective in a lot of ways. So I'm curious as to you all's thoughts. Did you participate? Do you think it's a worthwhile endeavor? Do you think it's just a social media trend that don't mean anything? Erica?
Why you gonna start with me?
Because you're right here next to me.
Dang.
You had a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so which question do you want me to answer first?
What do
Pick
you-
one?
Oh,
Okay, so one day boycotts. Do I think they're effective? Possibly. I think that it takes more than 24 hours for a business to recognize whether or not one day sales made an impact on their bottom line. However, I think that the unity is more important than what happens. Like, everybody is so caught up on, well, did it work? Was it effective? Them people on the other side of the fence don't care one way or the other, right? They throw out lies, they throw out propaganda, they say whatever they're gonna say. If we want to get online and be like, one day boycott, it happened and it worked and they lost all their money. Why we can't do that? Because they on the other side of the fence saying we ain't gonna be woke no more. So what, like, why we gotta fact check everything? Like, who cares at this point? We live in a society where whatever you say is true. So yep, they're effective. Yep.
well, the other end of the spectrum is
Yep.
I saw a post being shared from other groups where other folks that didn't support the boycott were like, I'm going to Target right now, spending all my money.
And that's, I don't
I'm going
get
to Walmart
that. And I
all
don't
my,
get that. Like,
but
I don't
not,
get
not
it.
us necessarily.
So I don't get it when we do it.
The melanin
The
challenge.
melanlessness.
Yes.
I feel I don't. Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about them because they always on bullshit. But I'm gonna talk about people who look like us, all of us, because we all look different. I'm talking about people who look like us. What I don't understand about the boycott thing is the people who get online and make it their business to tell people that they're not supporting this, that I'm not doing this because it's not gonna mean nothing. Them the same people don't vote, and they're going over there.
Will?
Same people that don't vote. It's the same people that don't vote.
I don't know if that's
It's the-
necessarily
it
true, but I
is,
see
it
where you're
is.
going
It's
with
the
it.
same people that don't vote.
Will, what you think?
That's quite the that
right, that's
Hey, y'all don't see how it correlates.
on that chart.
Y'all don't see how it correlates.
I see where you're going.
I mean,
I
I
see where
get
you're
it.
going with it.
Disengage is disengage.
I see where
Okay,
you're
fair.
Okay.
Disengage is disengage.
Okay.
If you feel like boycotts don't work, you also don't vote because you think it means nothing. Same person.
Okay.
So
Will?
economically,
No, here we go.
nah. I just don't see that the impact from an economic perspective is enough in one day. Hell, if we have a snowstorm right now and all the stores close down, there's gonna be a cyclical effect where when they open back up, they're gonna make that money back. So 24 hours for that perspective isn't enough. But what I will say is, and it was a point that Erica brought up, was the idea of, the unity is important, but what we really should be getting behind is it takes a mindset, a change of actual behavior in order to do this over time. We are kicking Target's ass right now.
Yeah.
And so the thought is you can use a 1 day, turn into a 2, turn into a 5, et cetera, and we get used to not doing this over longer periods of time if we continue on. Like, we came up with this one singular day, but that was it. We haven't talked about what the follow-up is. What's the next 2 days? What's the week look like, right?
Yeah.
And I think if we turn it into something like that, we really get some actual economic impact where people start to feel it. Right now, the only people we know that are feeling it is Target.
Yeah. True. I ain't been to Target since November.
Yeah.
Yeah, I better Target in a minute. I miss you, Target. Get your shit together.
I don't miss Target.
I don't miss none of it, frank.
Me and Costco having a good time.
Same, but see, that's the thing though. So like, Costco isn't everywhere, and a lot of people can't buy in bulk
I
because they
know.
can't afford
Yeah,
it, right?
I know, right?
So then what do we do to replace those Targets and Walmarts on a day-to-day basis? That requires us to figure out where people that we want to actually invest in are. And that takes a little bit of time for us to do some research to figure them out. So we go from a 1 day to a 2 day and we figure out where they are. Then we say, okay, I got you. Y'all giving me good service, good product.
Yeah.
Now let's do that for a week. Because it takes a little bit in order to get away from those bigger entities.
T, welcome to the show.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Welcome to the show.
Who is T?
She's the first time.
Welcome.
First time viewer,
And our
appreciate it.
favorite bot is in the comments too.
That's a real person. Anyway.
He ain't no real person.
Anyway, Sean, what do you think?
Okay, so one thing I want to put in perspective for all of us, right? Even during the Montgomery bus boycott, even during all the boycotts in the 50s and the 60s, there's always a sector of people who don't think anything is effective, right? So I do want us to just keep in perspective, the naysayers are always going to be there. There's never not going to be any naysayers in anything that we do, right? That being said, is it effective? I guess it depends on what you mean by effective, right? Are we saying, is it making an economic impact? Obviously it does. If you a percentage of your patrons don't patronize you that particular day, it does affect you that particular day or that particular moment. To Will's point, there is no follow-up, unlike Target, right, who's perpetually losing money, like Tesla right now, right, is perpetually losing money. There isn't any follow-up. So, I guess ultimately my question is, what is the goal? Is the goal for us to do something together? Then yeah, it was effective. You had a good sect of Black people who followed suit, did the thing, and we can pat ourselves on the back. But if the effect you're looking for is for these companies to actually feel pain, then no, it wasn't effective. So I guess it all depends on what you consider.
That Tesla was effective enough for me to sell my shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They bleeding.
Selling my shit.
I'm talking about my shares.
Oh shit.
I thought you meant your car.
No.
Oh,
no, he
You
buying
got
one
to the shares too.
Yeah, shit, get out of that. Yeah. I think that's everybody raised a lot of good points. But to your other point, Sean, I think what's important is that you're right. Well, actually, to Will's point earlier, he said, if we boycott on Friday and it's Saturday, I go spend
twice as much
or more. What have I really done?
Yeah,
I think the unity is important. I think all that's important. I think it is important to get some folks that are on the sidelines, to Erica's point, off the sidelines in any way, shape, and form we can. Because if you get them off the sidelines once, they might be willing to do other things down the road.
There you go.
And the other thing I think is, here's where the lack of follow-up comes in for me.
that's right, Dennis. Fuck Tesla.
I think you can
bring me some ice, Dennis.
Shut up. I think we have plenty of ice. I think you can if we had a plan to walk into Target tomorrow, a board meeting, and say, on the 28th, you saw ... This is the power of our dollar. And we want ... There's where the follow-up isn't happening for me. I'd love for us to continue, like we're kicking Target's ass as we've said, or if it was a week or a month or whatever it's going to be. But then what's the plan of action to have the conversation to move forward the change that we want?
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't think we need to go into the boardroom. I think social media has done a really effective job in communicating to, like, even if you look at 2020, right? Even though a lot of that was performative, I'm not gonna lie, but all those DEI initiatives, people saw that people were pissed off, and they were doing everything in their power for people not to be pissed off at them. And they were looking at social media, they were looking at people's reels, they were seeing that people wanted equality, they wanted these companies to commit to having more people of color, more women on their boards. They saw that and said, okay, we're going to do that. So I don't think we need to necessarily march into boardrooms. I think we can use our platforms to communicate the needs and the wants of the overall community.
I think the problem with that is, and I agree, I think and I'm passing back to you, Eric. I think the problem with that is that they did what was to not be on the wrong side of history in that moment.
I know. I said it was performative.
Right. So I feel you. So they're doing right now, right? That to not be on the wrong side of whatever our president now, the side of history he's forming. So those things aren't sustainable. If we can come in with some economic things, right? Some things that are on the books that they can't take away, that won't be moved, that they can't shift. I mean, they can always shift, but it'd be harder to shift. It's easy to say I'm gonna hire a DI coordinator and fire that motherfucker, right? But it's harder to say and have in writing for the next 10 years, we're going to have this amount of Black products on shelves. We're going to promote this, because we know how much that dollar means.
But I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But I think that that's what Target was trying to say, right? And all we heard as a community was DEI initiatives are gone. What Target essentially tried to tell us was it's not about DEI. We're embedding this into our business. This is the part of the way we operate. This is the part of the way that we do business. The problem with Target in particular, and y'all probably need to censor this, but the problem with Target in particular is that they didn't do that before 2021, right? If it's who you are as a company and it's embedded into what you do as an organization, then it's there. It's across your board. Your board looks that way. Your senior leadership team looks that way. Your community investments look that way. But when it's something that you're doing because it's a trend, it feels very inauthentic. And so when Target is like, oh, we're ending everything DEI and it's just going to be embedded in our business, people don't know what that means.
And they did a poor job communicating
embedded in their business prior to 2021.
You can't dare tell me the arm or function, the arm that you built to get it embedded, you taking away.
And they did take it away, and then we're gonna put it over here.
And they didn't communicate it effectively. They did a poor job communicating that.
You know what's real interesting though?
Hey,
this wasn't the first time it's been happening though. So over the last 2 years, if you look at corporate America, professional services firms, they were getting rid of their chief people, the chief diversity officers across the board. It only became a thing when it was politicized through Trump.
Right.
But this has been going on for years. So there have been other moves in the market that were saying, hey, we're going to be anti-diversity. I think we just caught on to it once it got to the point where it was reaching everybody at the retail space.
Because I think that what was happening on the back end was people never thought that it would be what it is today. Like people didn't think it was gonna go this far. So a lot of companies was like, okay, we're gonna make these small little tiny moves that nobody will notice because that's how we protect ourselves. But then this man came in and just kicked the whole DEI door down, and now they're like, oh shoot, now we got to make these bold moves. And you really don't keep that opinion for later. But
that's the entire point of the show, Eric.
Nope, I'm gonna keep that one.
Different. I think
I'm gonna keep that one. Yes, a different conversation.
Okay.
But what people really need to understand is that back to your original question, any type of movement impacts any person that we're trying to make a movement against. And that's why unity is so important, right? Even if it doesn't affect their bottom line initially, it affects their reputation. And that reputation is directly connected to your revenue. So even if the one-day boycott doesn't work, even if everybody's like, oh, February 28th, they didn't see a different profits. It's, to your point, getting people who were disengaged engaged. It's getting people who weren't paying attention to pay attention. And maybe they might not go to Target. Maybe they went to Target on 28th, but maybe March 1st they was like, everybody was boycotting Target. Maybe I don't need to go to Target no more, right? It's about getting into the consciousness of people and helping people understand that it's FOMO. I'm gonna make you feel some type of way about missing out. We ain't going to Target. So, you going to Target? Oh, fuck you, because I don't go to Target, right? So then now people
now we're going to use it as a way to be divisive? I mean, that's not
it's not about being divisive.
Actually, it's supposed to be a unifier.
It's unified. It's a unifier, right? It's a unifier in this instance, right? Because
but people will use it a way like to poo-poo on people if they're not boycotting Target.
Oh, I will. That's not a poo-poo. That's a unifier.
Can we arm it?
I'm unifying you.
Here's
you on the wrong side of history, boo.
What are we gonna say?
Here's my biggest irritation about all of this, right? While I appreciate the anger to Target, first of all, I saw this coming, to Will's point, 2 years ago. And I saw this coming 2 years ago when two things happened. One, when they started going after the heads of elite education institutes, Harvard, MIT, because of their stances on Palestine, right? That was the first blip. The second blip was when that white male went after, what's the name of that, the black not hedge fund, it was a venture capitalist, and they gave all their money to Black women businesses, and they sued them because they said that they were being discriminatory. So I saw this 2 years ago, and while I appreciate that we're directing all of our angst toward Target, they aren't the real enemy. The real enemy, and they've been building up to this for the last few years, is white men, rich ones especially. So I feel like we need to just kind of redirect ourselves, just the teachers that really the people who we should really have the issue with are the white men, rich white men, who are driving all these anti-DEI initiatives. Because I actually disagree with Eric on this point, or maybe it was you that said this. I think if white men hadn't interfered, I think DEI would still be going right now. It was performative. No, they said that somebody said that it would have kind of died off anyway. I do think.
No, who said that?
I don't think we said that.
We can't rewind the tape, so it is what it is. But point is, I do think companies did see profit in being diverse. I think they did see that people appreciated that there were more women on their boards, that there were more Black men, that there were more Asian people, more, people who had disabilities. I think people appreciated that and felt more comfortable spending their money, feeling like they were being considerate of them. And we just really have some bad actors that we need to just redirect our anger to, quite honestly.
Yeah.
That point about the rich white men is so important on the second question y'all about to talk about. Just because it is wherever they are, they don't want us to be, right? I keep talking. Last time I was there, I was talking about the fact that Black and white is one part of this, but rich and poor, or actually super rich and then everybody else is the real divider in this country. And when it comes to why they want us in the workplace, we about to get all over the OWGs on that one. Oh yeah.
Well, they want our money. They just don't want us in the room.
Yeah.
No, they want us in a room. They want us servile.
Well,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, let me just rephrase that correct. They don't want us in leadership
positions. They want us bringing them water and shining their shoes.
No,
but I digress.
I'm gonna go as far as to say they want us in the room as long as you ain't Black and a woman.
They do or do not?
They do.
They do?
They okay with Black men in the room.
Oh,
they don't want Black women in the room.
They don't want me in the room.
That's a podcast for another day.
I say that's a whole. You just shifted.
I don't open the can of worms, but
I push back on that a little. I think
I don't.
If you not rich and you not male and you not white, I think they have a problem with you in general. I think it doesn't matter if you Asian.
They okay with Black people who ain't woke.
They
okay with white aligning Black men.
Oh well,
yeah,
sure.
They like white aligning anything.
Anybody. Toy made a good point. The top one, Jake. Nope, sorry. I'm in the middle, Jake.
Well, anything saying I'm right is awesome. Thanks.
Yes.
We say this all the time.
They want poor Black men in prison. They don't want rich Black men
here's what I will say to that, Toya. Yes, they do. You're right.
They want that, but they want Puffy in prison. They want Jay-Z in prison. They want
white women are
seen in prison.
White women are more aggressive with their resentment to people. White men are more passive with their resentment to people. They both resent us equally.
They send white women to do their dirty work.
True. Facts. They get them all angsty.
They get them all, and then they send them down the path.
Yeah, so
Karen, look at him. You are right.
How dare he?
How dare he? And then Mike and Rob are like,
yeah. And then they come behind him like, I don't know why she's so upset.
Yeah, I agree, Brian. Karen was tripping.
Oh my gosh. All right, but yeah, I don't. Is there any else you want to kind of?
No, we gonna keep this one moving. We've been 23 minutes on this one. Unless anybody got any final.
I want to get to the second question so bad.
White men suck. The biggest takeaway is rich white men suck, and we need to redirect our anger toward them.
And we need unity.
Well, I think what we've landed on is that if one day boycotts, they might not be the long-term plan execution of change that or some people might want them to be, or think they should be, or that's why they don't like them. But I think the unifying effect, and that's why I want people to get on board. If you're not with it, and you won't even want to question it, I'm cool with questioning it. Shitting on it and arguing about it for days, nah, you are detrimental to what's supposed to be happening.
That's the truth right there.
I got a follow-up question. What you just said? Is there a way to question it without shitting on it?
That's my boy Phil. Sure.
Okay.
So I will shout Javen out in this. Jave, you watching? What up? So my boy Javen, he was like, "Hey, just want to have a conversation. Is this beneficial. If you think it is, why? If you think it's not, why? There could be both. Blah blah blah. He asked the question and let people have a conversation around it. While other folks is like, that's some bullshit. I ain't doing it. Blah 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 blah.
Okay, fair.
We don't need that.
Okay.
If you don't want to do it, just don't do it.
Just don't. Just be quiet.
If you want to have a conversation about it, I'm cool with a conversation because you might not see the benefit in it. And I'm fine with that. But let's not kill the momentum of anything positive we're trying to do, whether you think it's positive or not.
Okay, I'm with that. All right.
That being said, let's shift to the one our boy Will wants to talk about the most. So, so a lot of people were working from home or hybrid or whatever before COVID. I was one of them.
As was I.
And as the pandemic happened, people shifted and we realized, hell, I could do the same job at the crib. Why do I need to come in the gig? And then when COVID happened, I mean, it was, under control, quote unquote, people started going back to the office slowly but surely. And now we are seeing a push from a lot of corporations, from a lot of companies for their staff to come back full time in office. So my question is twofold. Why do you think that is? And you know what? Let's start there and then we'll dive into the other ones. Come on, Will.
These motherfuckers.
First of all, I already like this, the intro to whatever you're about to say.
So
Period point.
we've proven over time, especially in the pandemic, that work can continue to happen if an individual is not in the room, right? But what the idea of people that want to go to the office and them not having their ability, especially the leaders, especially those OWGs that are CEOs and on top of these organizations, they really want to have is control and access. They want to be able to walk into your office and say, hey, what about this? Whereas now they have to call me or they have to set up a time and they think that's less efficient. But what it really is causing is us to actually have some boundaries in the workplace, right? In professional services, this is huge. Because before, if I'm sitting in an open, cube farm with you, you can come up and say whatever you want to at any time to me. You can make me do whatever, et cetera. When I got into leadership positions, I started to understand that my walking out of my office and then going to see people and doing that causes some discomfort. Hey, how about I put 15 minutes on your calendar? Should have been the way I was handling it, even when they were in front of me. Our OWGs don't understand that. And if y'all heard Jamie Dimon and his fucking tirade about
who's
why
Jamie Dimon
talking about?
I don't know. Let me Google. Okay.
I can't say it, but
the CEO of JP Morgan Chase.
Oh, I didn't know his name. I hate
Tell him to talk about that tirade he went on because what?
Yes. Now, so what he was essentially saying to us was, hey, I don't have the ability to see you do work.
Correct.
I don't know what you're doing when you're not in front of me, and I don't want to have you set those boundaries that make me have to command time. I want to be able to walk to you and say, do this, or hey, can we talk about this? All of the boundaries that people are setting up and making themselves okay with, he wants gone. Now, he said it in a way in an actual town hall. Interestingly enough, I have seen so many fucking CEOs. This is the most I've ever cursed on this podcast.
You've been twice. Keep coming. You'll figure that out.
On this one. This is the one place though where I've seen CEOs completely lose their decorum because they are not in control anymore. They haven't heard the word no before. You can't talk to me right now. I'm not available to you. This drives them fucking nuts. And so a lot of this has to do with their inability to access and control their subordinates.
Oh. That makes sense.
I also think that, I also think for a certain subset of them, it's just the generational divide, right? Younger people in the workplace, let's say millennials and younger, grew up in an environment where we learned and we did everything via internet. We talk via internet, we email our friends, we text our friends. Everything we do is online. Those people like that man have trouble using Teams, right? No, I'm not trying to be funny. It's still funny. It's the generational divide. Yeah. They don't know how to go on Teams. They don't know how to use even Engage. They don't know how to use the electronic tools, the electronic productivity tools that have made us be able to be efficient in working outside of an office. They don't want to send an IM. They want to walk over to your desk. And when you walk over to my desk, I'm annoyed that you're here. Why didn't you just send me an IM? So I think this is part of this is the byproduct of having 5 generations in the workplace, right? We got boomers to Gen Alpha at this point in the workplace. And it's just a difference of work style. And that's where it gets, I think that's where it gets lost in the sauce. Some of them people like that man you mentioned, whose name I can't say, that man right there is just, that's completely control. It's all about control for those types. But for some leaders, it's like, I don't know how to use the stuff y'all use. I'm not texting nobody. I don't want to IM. No, I don't want to IM. I'm not phone. We only have phones at my job no more. We got phone numbers and they ring to our computers. Do you know how confused them older people are? They don't know what to do. And like, I'm serious. Like, I'm not even trying to be a jerk. Like, they just don't. I go to the office and I have meetings on my computer in my office. Why am I here? Right. Why am I here? Why am I here?
Everybody's in their office.
And somebody, I don't know who it was like, the younger people in the workforce need to come to work. I got people on my team that are under 20 and they are responsible, mature adults that have corporate jobs, that need those corporate jobs. And when I call them, they answer the phone. So it's not that. It's not that at all. So they're more used to communicating electronically. They're more uncomfortable in the office. They don't like being there. They hate being there. They would much rather send a text message or a Teams message.
I'm an expert and I hate that shit too.
They don't even talk. When you walk up to them, okay, I'm going to say this and then I'll be done. I have somebody, not my team now, but I had somebody on my previous team, fresh out of college. She was maybe 25, 26. Every time when we talked on IM, she was perfect. She was friendly, cordial, banter was great. I took her to lunch. She sat at the table like, so how's things going? Fine. How are you? Fine. Like, they don't want to talk to us. Just send them a text. And now I'm done. Like, send a text and leave them kids alone.
I think some of the professions, though, that we have, and I got to the negative portion of this first, right? There is some value, and because I'm flat out, I learned how to be a consultant by being around other consultants, right? And seeing them operate, how they deal with clients, and I got a lot more tutelage when I was in front of them. So for those that say, yes, some of the young folks need to be there, I think it does, get that trajectory for them being a operational consultant in professional services and, delivery services, organizations, et cetera. I think it does improve that, right? So if we're, dictating that certain people require that time in, not the entire workforce, okay, right? Because I think there is some utility there. But for everyone else, not so much. That's the first one. And then second, I think there's some utility, and somebody mentioned it, like there's an economic impact to all the space we're no longer using.
Correct. Right. And that's the bottom line.
That's where I was coming.
That's the bottom line.
The real estate folks would think about that, right?
Yeah. That's what it is.
And real retail.
So West Monroe,
everybody knows.
West Monroe brought a whole damn building, got the naming rights on the building on 311 West Monroe. It's got four floors and 2 adjunct areas, and we're not filling it up. So I know that they wanted to bring some of those people back in order to fill up some of those areas.
That's it.
But again, though, what is that doing for the actual full workforce? No. You have the young ones, but those managers and above, they don't need this. No. So then what?
Sean?
I agree with all of that. Let me stop there. I agree with all of that.
From working in person.
But I also think this is just a bunch of old people who don't like their families and they hate that nobody's there. I'm sorry. I just real talk. Like, I think they don't like being at home. I don't think they like being around their families.
They don't like their wives.
And it's fucking pissing them off that everybody's at home. And to Will's point, they can't come and bug you for things that they want to do. Like, I disagree with Toya. I do think we are not boomers. I want us all to remember this, right? We are not boomers. We did not grow up in an industry where we had phones, where we had to press buttons and none of that. We have computers, we have teams, we have this. You all have got to be able to transform your working style to match the environment you are in.
Grow up.
Yes, there are some things you can take from the past to bring into now that do work, no doubt. But if you are pigeonholed and having to sit in rooms with people to make things work, you are archaic and you will die a slow death in your career. You have to transform.
Oh man.
They don't understand that these people are dying.
That's
You
facts.
dying.
These
You're
people
right,
are
right.
dying.
You are killing these people.
And I don't mean you go
physically and
die.
career.
I don't
No,
it
I
sounds
mean
like you-
these
I don't mean you're
boomers,
going to
they're
die,
dying.
but what I
Yeah,
am going to say is you can't
career.
keep up with
Yes,
keep up
thank
with
you,
technology. You can't
Shells,
keep up with how
exactly.
things are transforming and moving.
The fucking Reaper next to me.
I know.
Sorry,
They're
I-
dying.
She got a sickle and a
They're
black
dying.
hood.
No,
just-
they're dying.
I'm sorry. There's a way to create synergy over
That's why they
teams.
fight like they
To
fight.
Will's point, I work in consulting. I have to talk to people across the world, depending on where I'm working.
Yep.
And you have to figure out ways to come together to do your job effectively.
Correct.
Sure.
You have to do it.
Sure.
I'm gonna. Can I
me-
just say this because she's
Go
talking
ahead.
about consulting?
Go ahead.
I work with 3 consulting firms. I have never met any of my consultants in person. Never. I don't know them people in real life. I only know them in this box, and we work perfectly fine together, and we make a lot of real money together.
Yeah.
But I ain't never. They ain't never. Don't take me to lunch. I don't want to eat with you.
And people skills.
Don't do that.
Toya.
Don't do that.
Maybe I'm gonna wrap myself out. When I started working like a real job at 21, 22,
Mm-mm.
I ain't had no goddamn people skills.
Period.
I had to
Well, I
learn
did,
them.
but
I had to learn
I
them.
did, but that
I didn't
don't
have
matter.
a bunch of
It don't
office
matter 'cause
etiquette.
I'm
I
working
had
with
to
people that
learn
don't
them.
have none.
And even when I got to the point of being virtual, that's a whole different set of people skills and managing people. You just got to learn it. And if you give these kids the opportunity to come
Mhm.
in and you teach them and they are willing to learn,
Nope.
they too will be able to have the type of people skills you need to be virtual.
Well,
Correct.
That's just
to
the truth
be
of the matter.
to be virtual. So I think
To be virtual. Yeah.
I think when we're talking about people skills, we're talking about 2 different things. We're talking about in-person communication, and we're talking about virtual communication.
Yeah.
Let's be frank. We are moving to a space where virtual communication is
It's going away.
potentially more important
More
Yeah.
important.
than
Absolutely.
interpersonal communication. So I think I'm old. I think there's value in the water cooler conversations. I think there's value in, to Will's point earlier, like stopping by somebody's office and just chit chat, or being like, hey, I was thinking this, that, and having this conversation that spirals into a thought process that you wouldn't have over Teams or you wouldn't have via text. Those are very functional things where I think sometimes sitting in somebody's office for 20 minutes and kind of spitballing some things and having a face-to-face conversation is important. I don't devalue that. But I think we're moving completely away from that as our folks get younger and younger and get more dependent on technology. So we need to make sure that they can have these conversations virtually and build these relationships virtually that we're used to having in person. I'm not saying there's no value in it. I'm just saying we're moving into a different space. But I also think Sean touched on this very briefly in a side thing, probably didn't even say it. I think a lot of this also is we're talking about real estate space, and people coming back to the office, and we paid all this money.
Yep, we paid
Erica
all
works
this money.
at a whole building, right?
Mhm.
We got a whole building and it's 50% full, maybe on a Tuesday.
Mhm.
That shit don't work for them.
Yep.
Bottom line,
Come back up in here.
yeah, it don't make most sense for them too. And 3,
Mhm.
they're getting pushed back from from commerce,
Yeah.
Yep.
restaurants,
Yep.
Yeah.
Restaurants,
shopping,
retail.
all right.
For
Like
sure.
they're in their face as well, saying State Street is a ghost
It's
town.
empty. Bring
If
these
you go
people
to
back.
Chicago, if you're from Chicago, we have a whole what was a shopping district on State Street that is empty.
Empty.
Yep.
So while I know everything is also virtual shopping, blah 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 blah, these spaces that have real estate that they own with clothes in it, Zara, they need you in this motherfucking store, and they're in a Blue Cross face like, hey, we need you to get people back down here so we can survive.
So, can I add one last comment? Is this the end of this segment?
No, we got some time.
Okay. So, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. Hold on.
Wow, that's super professional.
Because so you talked about water cooler conversation.
Mhm.
You know what we do at this point? We have a whiteboard. There's a whiteboard at each end of the hallway where we sit. There's a question on this whiteboard. There's a question on that whiteboard. When you walk past, you look at the question, pick up a marker, and write it down. These kids don't want to talk to y'all. Leave them alone. They don't want to talk to you.
Leave them with Veers alone.
Toya, they don't want to talk to you. Leave them alone. Leave these kids alone. Send them a Teams message. write on a whiteboard, send them a text. I have some. It's people that work 2 feet away from me in my office that will send me a text. As opposed to walking in my office when I'm there.
So it's funny.
Stop talking to them. They don't want to talk to you.
So it's funny. One of my staffers is this.
They don't.
No, you're right.
They just don't.
23-year-old kid that is amazing at what he does. But I have even told him, I've said, hey, bro, you got to come in this office 3 days a week and show face. And he's like, I might quit.
I just can't.
I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to do that shit.
I just can't.
He said, we got a great thing, B. We text, you do the shit, I'll send you the shit. Why I got to come in the office? I'm like, because people are tripping. And he's like, that might not work for me.
Because let me push back on that. You want him to come in the office because it bugs other people. Not because he's not efficient, not because he's not timely.
Well, parts of that too. But
why didn't know?
But it's mainly because we do have a policy. We do have a policy in place where folks are supposed to be in the office for a certain amount of time on certain days. And I don't want to do the shit. So I'm super flexible about him doing the shit. But there is a professionalism culture that dictates right now. We're not at a point where it's not that, where it dictates you got to show some face. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And you gotta, either you gotta adjust that or you gotta find a job that don't require that.
So a couple things. So I can't.
He been waiting. He been rocking.
He be sitting there collecting all his data, waiting to launch it. That's how he operates.
So again, I rather be at home, but a couple of talking points about being in office, right? One, professional services. When we're dealing with folks that need to go talk to C-suite individuals.
Can I just pause for a second? Because he said a lot of words. I'm not sure if everybody knows. Professional services includes implementing systems and doing support for those systems. I just wanted to make sure people knew. Because some people would be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
They can Google. Go ahead.
All right.
I just wanted to add that. That's it.
And my C-suite is at home.
So,
and I'm gonna add that
in order to put them into some positions where they're going to be effective at communicating with those high-level individuals, they got to see it happen, right? And I think a lot of times, when they're away, they're not watching it on a day-to-day basis. They're not seeing how we get into offices, have conversations about value creation and identification, and then driving additional conversations forward. So there's a plus for it, right? Here's a minus, though. Oh, actually, here's another plus for it, and I'll give you the minus. There's another thing that happens when people are working from home extensively, which is, and I think I'm a victim of this as well. My work days kind of started when I woke up and kind of ended when I went to bed. That was because everything that happened throughout the day happened, right? Kids got sick. Oh, I didn't do something for a couple hours and I came back to it, right? Or, I got to take the kids to school or I got to pick them up or something. And now I'm not doing what I could be. So what used to be efficient for an 8-hour day, 9-hour day, whatever, is now a 14-hour day. It's kind of spread across. The work still gets done. I'm on salary, so it doesn't matter. You don't pay me anymore. But now my work-life balance is kind of skewed because I'm doing all of these other things and I'm working 6 to 6 or 6 to 7. You know what I'm saying? And so there were some people that were having some issues with that. There were our post surveys, the kind of relationship kind of surveys that we do on our own people. We're kind of saying, hey, we're in the pandemic and after the pandemic when we were really virtual, hey, this is kind of hurting because we're working essentially all day. And so that was a reason why coming back to the office would give them some of that balance back in some ways. Now, on the flip side of that, though, people that don't live near their offices are gaining back all that efficiency. So for me, I had to travel an hour in, an hour out. Those 2 hours, I'm not working. I can't be on the computer. Obviously, I'm doing something else. I'm just losing time. And so I get those hours back when I'm sitting at home doing my own thing. And so, like I said, there's a lot of arguments on both sides of this. I think there's a lot of things you can bring to the forefront to be on the side of it, but the why behind it, I think we're getting to, which is the economic factors, my control and freaking access problem, and then the idea of whether or not we are cultivating, the up and coming generation of consultants and or professional services entities by having them at home versus being in person and having those water cooler type conversations.
Let me ask you all this. Before Erica starts, I see she going.
She ready.
She ready.
It was just a question.
Let me ask you this. So, personally, for you all, do you find yourself more effective in the office or at the crib?
At home.
At home.
1000%. I'm more productive at home. When I am at home, my work day starts at My kids, I wake my kids up at 6:30. My work day probably starts at 7.
Cause you grab the computer.
Because I'm gonna grab my phone. I'm gonna start responding to emails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be like, "Hey, girl, get your lunch, get your clothes, do whatever."
Mm-hmm.
I'm responding to emails. I might pop in my office and be like, "Oh, I need to type an email real quick." From the time I wake my kids up until about the time they leave out, so maybe an hour and a half, I'm working.
Mm-hmm. That's not time you getting dressed.
I'm
That's
not getting dressed.
You in the car.
I'm not getting in the car. I'm not doing it. I'm working. I shoot up a bunch of emails, get the day started, email my team, email the leaders I support. I'm getting the day started from 6:30 to 7, right? And then once everybody leaves, I'm like, oh, okay, now I got a moment. Now I might go work out. I'm gonna get my coffee. I'm gonna do whatever. Then I'm gonna come back to the computer at 9 o'clock, and I'm gonna be charged up, ready to go. The emails that I sent off at 6 o'clock are coming back. So now we working. Now we rolling. And
if you remember at 6 o'clock, I ain't seen that shit till 9:30. I'm telling you that.
But that's me. But if you asked me,
I'm just saying,
that's how.
If I was on your team, you would be hearing me.
I don't want to. I don't want to. And I tell my team that all the time. Like, don't talk to me until you get to work. Yeah. I'm doing this to get it out my head. Because I'll email my team at 2 o'clock.
You can set the timer to send that.
I know. I want to send it right now. I'm gonna send it right now, and I don't want you to respond to it later.
I'm gonna say the ways to get around. I only say this.
Get anxiety about getting.
If my boss emails me at 6:30, I feel like I gotta respond.
They know me enough at this point to know that.
I'm just saying, technology says you can set it.
They don't have to. They know that okay, you got to be real. Okay, so, and then I'm gonna midday. I'm gonna eat my lunch, and then maybe I'm gonna stop working at 3 o'clock, and I'm gonna go cook dinner, and I'm gonna put dinner on, and then I might come back to the computer at 5, and then finish up. I might work till 7. It doesn't bother me though. People are like, "Oh, there's no work-life balance." I don't need work-life balance if I'm working from home because it's on my terms, right? Work-life balance for me is I'm in the office and you're telling me I can't leave till 6:30 because your boss don't leave till 6:30 and you can't leave before your boss. So you got to stay here until your boss leaves. And I tell my team all the time, hey, if I walk out of here, don't feel like you got to wait till I leave for me. You don't know what's going on. I might be sitting here waiting on my friends so we can go drink. Don't be sitting here waiting on me.
Most likely.
Go home. Go home. Please go home. Because don't wait on me. Yes, I have said that because that's what this generation needs to feel. Okay, I would never want anybody on my team to feel like they can't go home until I go home. Don't. That's why. Can we just be at home so I don't see what you do, and so that I can judge you on the merit of your work, so I can judge you on the value of what you contribute to the team, and not how long you sitting at your desk. Because you could be sitting at your desk playing Candy Crush.
Facts.
I've definitely been at my desk shopping. And to that question, Stephanie, yes, that is a very like boomer mentality that you cannot, and Xer, to be fair, that you cannot leave until your manager leaves.
Yeah.
So me and Stephanie work together. This is how I know Stephanie.
Really? I didn't know that.
We met at a shared place of employment.
That you want to keep secret because you sure didn't say that.
First Health. I don't give a fuck. Neither one of us with that anymore. But
you made me feel my question.
that was not our life. When 5 o'clock hit, we was out that movie.
Can I say something real quick? Somebody brought up something earlier, and they were like, "What about people who are in different sectors? Like we're talking about corporate, but what if it's construction?
There's no one size fits all.
Essential workers.
They can't. Well, there's no work from home option for them. So that's not even, they're not part of the conversation.
Like my friend works for NICOR. His team are the people who install like wires and stuff
is
underground.
But the people who advocate for back to office are saying that that's not fair.
Fuck them.
People who are nurses and doctors and construction workers and all those people,
their job
have to go to work.
Their job requires that they need to be on site.
So why you don't have to go
My
to work?
job does not require
Here's what I will say.
Why you don't got to go to work if I got to go to work?
Nobody expects their CEO to be in the office as much as they do. No one. Nobody gets mad if their CEO is in the office one day a week and they in there 5. So why are you in everybody? Why are you in what everybody else is doing?
I don't know what.
Do what you need to do at your cube and keep it pumping.
Will more effective, more effective at home or in office?
Significantly more effective, significantly less efficient. So
at home.
At home. At home. So effectiveness means I can get the amount of work done I can do it all day. I can give you so much goddamn work in a day. I can get so much done. But it's gonna take all damn day because there's so many things that happen in my space at home, right? So if you say, Will, hey, something's due on Friday. Watch, but by the way, I hate Friday deadlines and no one should ever use them. It should always be Monday. But anyway, if you tell me something's due on Friday, I'm giving it to you probably at midnight, 11:59 on Friday. Because in that time, I am going to
like a term paper.
Exactly. Because I am going to take as much time with it, and I'm going to take it all the way to that point because everything else happens, right? I got a baby that has a nanny that's running around. So that baby comes in and says, Dad, and now we're playing for 5 minutes, right? And we talked about the kids being sick, that example. We talked about, hell, the lawnmower guy comes over and he's making a bunch of noise, and now I got to go somewhere else in my house. All that shit happens when you are at home. But like I talked about before, because the day starts and ends so vastly different from one another, I can get a whole lot done in that time. I just can't get it done as fast as I would.
But okay, I'm sorry.
I want to talk Jesse real fast, bro. Your job requires you to be where you have to be physically. No. I usually don't reply to.
Well, what does Jesse do?
I'm not even gonna put Jesse's occupation out there. It doesn't matter.
You need to be.
You have to be where you need to be in person to do what you need to do. I do not. I do not need to travel to an office and sit in my office and close the door and do what I need to do.
I don't want to go to the office and do meetings.
I can do that shit at Starbucks. I can do that shit at the library. I can do that in my pajamas in the bed. We have different jobs, bruh. Just because you need to be where you need to be don't mean I need to be physically where I need to be.
You going off of Jesse.
Jesse be on some bullshit. But I love that's my guy.
Hey.
But he got to physically be where I don't need to be there. Anyway, Sean,
so what's
more effective or less effective at the crib?
I'm absolutely way more effective and efficient at home. The reason I'm not as effective or efficient at the office is because my mind.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm sorry. What you want to do from home, Jesse? I'm sorry.
I can't.
Jesse,
God damn it.
I can't. You're doing the most, bro.
Oh, my fault, Jesse. My bad. Maybe I missed the comments get to flowing. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. My bad.
I'm sorry.
So my mentality, if I'm in the office, is you are time boxed, which means I'm not doing shit before I walk into the office, and I'm not doing shit once I walk out that door. So if I'm at home, like last night, one of my technical consultants pinged me at about 8:30 at night. Now I happen to be awake.
You sell weed. You don't have. What you talking about? You got a flexible schedule. Your schedule flexible as hell.
I hate all of y'all. But a consultant IM'd me at 8:30 last night asking a question. Now he did start it off with ping me in the morning, but I'm sitting there looking at it, so I responded. If I worked in the office, 9 to 5 do not fucking bother me, and I'm probably taking an hour and a half lunch. I'm real resentful if you make me be in the office. I'm far more likely to wake up at 5 a.m., start off my day, take my daughter to school, do a solid 5 hours of more work, pick her up from school, make dinner, come back, make sure I didn't miss any important emails, and respond to those. So I'm much, but you much
do you think
much
gender?
better.
Do you think it's a gender thing?
No, I think it's just how you work. Because I do understand there are people who are much better in the office with all the distractions of a home and a TV and a phone and
but I work better that way.
But I think it's all in the work style.
If you ADHD, you need all them distractions to get something done. You understand?
Clearly, Brian is not ADHD.
So no, I agree with you all. I think it depends on the day and what I got going on, right? Like
he does sell weed. That's true.
Facts. He does. That's why I laugh. That's so funny.
To your point, which is why I gave shit. To your point, like it's 7 o'clock. I wake up, we getting the kids ready to do whatever, and I'm grabbing my computer and I'm online.
Yep.
However, if I'm binging motherfucking Game of Thrones from 12 to 3, I might be watching that shit in the middle of the day.
100%.
I mean, be clear, I will bullshit for sure. I'll take like a 4-hour lunch and then, look at IMs. I will absolutely bullshit.
To your point also, then I'm back on at 3 and now I'm working till 8, fucking around or whatever. Yeah. So I think it all balances out, but
it all does.
I do find myself more, to Will's point, focused and attentive when I'm sitting because I don't have any distractions in the office at my desk because ain't shit else to do. I got to seek distractions when I'm in the office. At the crib, distractions are just there.
I'll put that stuff on my iPad and keep it moving.
But you gotta see, you gotta plan to do that.
Playing
yeah, if you gotta download to your iPad to bring it to the office, that's a plan.
I gotta download nothing. I just put it on the Wi-Fi and watch the
you know
show.
what the fuck I'm saying. If you gotta go through all that thing, that's a plan.
And I water cooler talk be distracting me too, because people want to talk and socialize.
I did stop talking to me.
That too.
When I leave at my office and somebody say something to me, I'm instantly irritated because all I'm trying to do is go to the bathroom. So I'm trying to go pee. If I left my office, I'm going to get food, pee, or water. We got water, piss.
I had a plan when I left. No, you got it. So
she said, what we're saying is, I'm trying to do.
What we're saying is, hybrid might be the best solution then.
Hybrid is the best.
I think it all depends.
Sean don't never want to go in the office and see nobody.
I don't. I promise you. Unless there's like, I talk to recruiters all the time, and their main question is, what would get you in the office? If there's a reason for me to be there, is there a meeting? Are we doing a testing iteration? Are we doing a go live? You need to make it make sense for me to be in somebody's office. If I'm just being there sending emails I can send at home, the fuck am I here for?
Sean, I'm gonna push back on this a little bit. Just a little, just a touch. There is a camaraderie that you can build in person. Not everybody. I'm not saying everybody, but there is a camaraderie. When you care about the people that you work with, and sometimes you can't build those relationships online, I will go above and beyond for somebody I built a relationship with in the office because I like them as a person.
See, now I push back. You have to, and here's the thing.
I'm saying me.
You have to learn the way to build relationships virtually. And maybe this is because I'm in consulting, right?
And I'm going to say something learn
how to build these. I will tell you, my last consulting firm, I got to the point with one of my consultants where I was on a call with him crying because I was upset about something that happened in a call. And he canceled whatever he needed to do to sit there and talk to me about what happened. You have to learn how to build these relationships. I had to fucking cry. What the fuck?
No, Stephanie and Sean, I agree. Can you do that over Teams? Yes, but there's something about being in front of somebody and have a personal interaction that you cannot replace.
All I'm saying, you work for a global company.
Sure, you could do it. I'm saying it's better.
But no, it's not. I'm saying
it's better.
I just think it depends on your personality style.
If you work for a global company, you cannot get global or national company. You can't guarantee that your entire team is going to be in your building.
I'm not saying that
you're going to get FaceTime with them.
You're not.
I work for a national company. They did a damn travel freeze last year. It's people on my team I've never seen in real life.
When I work with Zipcar, I agree.
Good friends.
But you're not really good friends.
Yeah, we are.
You're not.
We are.
You're not. The day you stop working for that motherfucker, you ain't probably gonna talk to him again.
Well, I mean,
that's bullshit. I just talked to one of my ex-coworkers.
I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying all the time. Me and Stephanie are still in connection right now because we worked face to face with each other. Me and Stephanie, everybody I work for, hold on, everybody I work for is Zipcar, who I love when I was working for him and still connect with them on social media. It ain't the same because I only saw him once a year. It's just not the same.
Can we chalk it up to extrovert, introvert?
No, what I'm gonna say is it just depends on your work style and your personality
and the work that you do
and the work that you do and the people you work with. If you are able to build
communications, I don't want to communicate with them people.
Like I will say this. I will say this. So Will and I, even though he was my manager for a long time, I didn't see Will a whole lot when I worked for him. And here we are 8 years later, and we're cool.
Did you see him in person?
Not a whole lot. No,
I didn't ask you a lot. Did you see him in person?
Sure.
Okay, you saw him in person.
Once a month.
Occasionally, you saw him in person.
Once a month, yes.
Are you cool with anybody you work with virtually that you never saw in person? Who?
I just told you I was texting a dude. We were talking about something totally different last night.
Did you ever see him?
No, I've never met him in real life.
Where's he live?
He lives in Minnesota.
He trying to fuck.
I don't got nothing to do with that.
Brian.
Sorry.
Brian, this is the internet.
Sorry.
My bad. He does watch the show, by the way.
You trying to fuck Minnesota? I see through you.
Can somebody please pass me that?
I'm fine, so I couldn't blame him if that was the case. But I'm saying.
Thank you, Will.
Lloyd, is it you? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Nope. I mean, I'm fine. So he
right.
could do far worse than me.
Okay, well then that's where we shift. So we got a few minutes left, and we do want to cover this. And in this area, I think I'm the only one, I believe, that have adult children.
Yes.
But I am curious. The reason I wanted to make sure you all were on here because this time is coming for you, and I'm curious about your thoughts.
Yep, it's
But
coming.
that is hilarious.
So coming.
He is married with 2 very small children.
He's what?
He's very married with 2 small children.
As if that stops anything. So
If you are watching, I didn't say it. That's all I got to say.
So
He said it, I did.
I did. I certainly did. So we got to switch topics, brother.
Sorry.
So all right. So there is as a parent, as I'm sure a lot of us watching are, when your children are to a certain age, you feel 100% responsible for them. But as they become adults, 24, 25, 26, 30, 40, whatever the case may be, 18 for a lot of us think that adults, you're out.
Come on, Steph.
My question is, at what point do you, and I won't say cut off support, that's not the wrong word, but at what point do you pull back support and let them fly on their own? And how extreme are you about doing it or thinking that you will do it? It's always different when you're thinking about it when they're 6 and then when they're 26, right? But well, you don't know because you ain't been there yet. But my question to the panel is, where do you think you need to limit at least support? And for what rationale do you think that's the case? And Sean, we usually don't start with
Sean.
But we're gonna start with you.
Me?
Yep.
Repeat the question, because I wasn't really listening because I was gonna wait for the answers.
You always.
I'm not about to lie. I really wasn't.
Do you? At what point do you think you need to pull back support from your children?
I think. Okay, so I have kind of an anti-Black theory on this, right?
Correct.
I feel like Black people, once the kid turn 18, with like
I think
little to no guidance, they send them out into the world.
I think that's old school. I don't think that's.
You don't be reading the comments in our
You
page very much at all.
Clearly don't. 99.9% of your group think they supposed to cut their kids off when they turn 18.
So with that said,
okay.
I think we are at a point in society where it's not beneficial to force our kids out. Now, when I would push them out is if I felt like they were not living up to their potential, right? If they're sitting in my house playing Minecraft at 23 years old, I'm be like, yo, this doesn't work for me. But if they are a working adult, if they are going to grad school, if they are getting a PhD, they're being productive, they are focused, they have a direction, you can absolutely, this is what
wait. They can absolutely what?
They can live with me, sure.
That's not the only form of support. That's not the only form of support. Am I gonna buy them a house? I'm not saying
am I rich?
I'm just saying we're saying, and I see a lot of them in the comments.
Brian is
my baby can live till they blah 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 blah. There's they moved out on their own. Are you paying their rent? They are going to grad school. Are you paying for that?
Where are they at?
Brian,
I'm asking the question. I don't want to limit it to.
So the short answer
about your sons.
The short answer is yes. If you're in grad
12,
school, you don't make no goddamn money. Of course, I'm gonna help you pay for your rent. If you're getting your PhD, depending on what you're getting your PhD in and what your
these are obvious. These are obvious. These are obvious supports. These are obvious supports, and some people agree with them and some don't.
Let me even take it a step further.
Let's take it a step
back. Let me take it a step further. If you decide you want to work for Teach for America and you're in Guam, and you are doing your damn thing, I will help you pay your rent 1,000%.
Those are all very, and I love that. They are all very focused. You on your mission, you on your path, support systems. That's pretty obvious.
You a damn deadbeat, go live with your daddy.
So when do you feel like, okay, so let me flip the question.
Wait, hold on.
I'm an extra special co-host. When do you feel like you supposed to, I'm an extra special co-host. So when do you feel like it's acceptable to remove support?
I don't know if there's a one size fits all to that answer.
Okay.
To Sean's point, which is why I'm about to pull the layers back on that. If they're doing what they are supposed to be doing, they're moving forward in positive progressions in some way. Of course, you want to support them. That's easy to say. What if they're not?
Then you go live with your daddy or your grandpa.
Oh, no. What does not look like to you? Because you have to understand that we're dealing with a different generation of children. These kids are soft. And it's not our responsibility to make them hard.
Who's making them soft?
Make them pause, because if you didn't make them hard, if you didn't make them hard,
right there,
oh right, I'm sorry, but if you didn't make them, if you didn't make them resilient, if you didn't make them,
this is my point.
Pause. If you
This
did
is my
not,
point.
can you let me finish?
You're making my point.
If you didn't make them resilient while they were younger, and now they're older and they're not resilient, that's your fault.
100% agree.
So now you're responsible for them because you didn't make them resilient.
So now
you can't throw no kids out to the world.
So now because
you can't throw no black kids out to the world and let them try to figure it out because you didn't do what you were supposed to do
Erica,
as a parent.
So
when they were young.
So because I might have failed them at 12, I'm supposed to support them till they're 50?
Correct. That's your fault.
Absolutely
it's absolutely
Wait a minute.
Fault.
Why
is
that the only year you failed them? If you failed them at 12, you failed them at 11, 14,
14 16, 18, 27, 25.
Yes.
You made them that way, so they are your responsibility, period. You're going to throw them out to the world?
Fuck and no.
You should have did what you were supposed to do when you were supposed to be doing what you were supposed to do. There comes a point
where I say, you know what? I fucked this up.
Nope.
And I support you to a point.
You can't do that.
Yes, I can.
You cannot.
I can absolutely
you
recognize.
Can, but it's fucked up.
I can absolutely recognize at 18 that I didn't give you the skills you needed to survive as an adult. And I'm gonna give you 25 for us to get there.
That's fine.
Then you gotta figure that shit out. I can't support you forever.
You can, but it's fucked up, friend.
It's not fucked up.
It's fucked up, friend.
At some point, they need to have some self-responsibility for them goddamn selves.
You should have did that when they were 16.
It's motherfuckers that are crackheads that have kids that are presidents. You think it can't all be on you or me? Shut up. You get the point I'm making.
Are you trying to say Obama's mother was a crackhead?
They're saying Trump's mother was. So you gotta put it right on a black man.
That's right. Trump.
You cannot do that. You cannot do that to your kids. You cannot do that to your kids. If you fuck your kids up, you are responsible for your kids. And to the fact that they are not fucked up. Do you understand?
I don't care what.
You not doing nothing of the sort, Dennis. I'll bring them to my house.
Shut up. Dennis can't even get out himself. How the hell he get his
Yikes on bike.
Sorry, been drinking.
Yikes on fucking bike.
That's
yikes.
Sorry, I mean Erica been arguing.
So
Will, what you think?
You gonna blame it on me?
Yes.
Will, you kicking them out at 18?
No. So like right now, I'm gonna give the two teenagers an example, right? They get allowance. If they want to get something, they got to pay for it. I don't buy shit no more. They get it themselves, right? The reality, though, is that the support versus their partnership in the support is like 98% me and the wife, and 2% them, right?
And they mama.
And they, exactly. Well, actually, she don't participate in that shit well enough for me to say she's a part of it.
God damn, I was trying, babe. I was trying.
Yeah, no. So then, at 18,
I'm sorry, focus. I apologize. Don't come to the door over here. Do not go to the door.
You know he got a key. He's right back on this motherfucker door. He probably on his phone right now, standing on the other side of that door.
What would you say?
Let me go get the blick. I'm sorry.
Let Will finish his statement, y'all.
So when we get to 18, it's more of a partnership now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my preferred methods of them getting out of the house would be college, the army, and we can talk about the army because people
we don't have to.
No,
it's okay. I went to the military. It's okay. So army, military, maybe you made something that requires you not to work, whatever, right? But at that point, it's a partnership, and you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to bring this to the table. This is my value creation. Dad, I need this. This is your part of it, and we can work together." Okay. I think that partnership kind of goes from 65-35 to the point where it's like 90-10 their side at some point. I don't think there's any time frames associated with it. I think that pantheon of them taking more and more control over their life goes, and I take less. But I'm always there. I've never had a fucking parent in the household. So my brother, who pretty much raised me when I was in high school, that was it. I left my mother and father when I was 7, 8, right? And so the idea of an adult parent, like when I was an adult, didn't really happen. He was the only one that was really kind of there for me. And so going back, I was like, I wouldn't do that to my people, my kids, knowing what that kind of effect had on me. So again, I think it's just a partnership, and that percentage kind of decreases over time until we get to the point where they're 95% themselves.
I like that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, that you just 18, I'm done.
Yeah, but a lot of parents do that bullshit.
A lot of people do that.
I think that's crazy. But
and they may not even do it like physically right. Well, you may still be in the house, but you still got to make all these adult
decisions.
Thank you. Without any, you didn't.
What do you mean? What do you mean by adult decisions?
Yeah.
Like college, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna throw my mother under the bus. I love you, Mom. We here, but
Mom still got to flip.
You kind of.
She ain't watching.
Damn, Mom.
Your
Damn.
mama is not on here.
But
Your mama is
I will
not
tell
on
the
here,
truth.
sir.
When I was applying to college, I got zero guidance.
Agreed. Same.
Zero.
Same. And I
My
got
mother
two college-educated parents.
My
and they
mother
left me on
was
my own.
not.
Facts.
My mother has no degree. My mother was not involved. She
Mama
didn't
got
care
99
whether.
degrees.
My mother never even talked to me about going to college. Like that was never a thought. And I really had to do that by myself and figure that out. I had no adults around me to help guide me. Now I'm still in her house, living under her roof, but I had zero guidance for that.
That might be a hard ask of someone that never went through the process themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an impossible ask.
No.
I'm not saying it's an impossible ask. I'm saying it might be a hard ask.
I think you have to make choices, and that's just the choice my mother made, right? And I'll use myself as an example, right? Like my kid, I think we've talked about, my kid is in private school. She's not like in a regular private school. She's like in one of those elite white people private schools, right? Now, I did not, as we all know, I went to Hirsch according to Brian and Jen, right? Or Dunbar, whatever Harlan, whatever fuck you want to say, right? I have no knowledge about a Peyton, not Peyton, sorry. I didn't have any knowledge about Parker. I didn't know about a Latin. I didn't know about a lab. I didn't know about any about that shit. No, Latin was there.
Latin was there.
Latin was there. All of those there. They were there in the 1800s.
Anyway.
You said Jones. It wasn't.
Well, that's what we said, not Jones.
But
Jones was there. It just wasn't Jones.
I guess my point is you have to have the wherewithal to make the effort to get involved and learn those things and push them forward. My mother didn't have it. Based on whatever was going on with her, and she made that choice. I made a different choice, and I educated myself on some things I did not know because I wanted different things for my daughter. I want to have different experiences, so I had to figure out what is different than what I had and learn those things. So again, Mom, I love you, and it's not me throwing you under the bus, but she was not nearly involved. I would even say in my grammar school education. Like I do not remember my mother ever helping me with my homework ever. At any point in my education.
Same. But what makes a kid resilient when you have let's even say you have a 2-parent household, and what happens with that kid when it's a 2-parent household? Both parents are successful. Because we all talking about what we didn't have growing up. We're saying, hey, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, and because I didn't have A, it developed B. Because I didn't have B, it developed D, right? So what happens when you have a household where it's 2 parents and they think they're doing right by their children, and their kids grow up and they're like, you're supposed to take care of me forever. What happened that you didn't build the resilience? Because I think that's where successful Black people need to course correct.
Yeah.
It's not about not being there for your kids. It's about building resilience in a way that's different than the way that resilience was built in you. I'm not going to make my kids struggle. I'm not. I'm just not, period. Point blank. They're not going to struggle. They don't have to. Financially. They're not going to. Can I finish my statement? They're not my kids. I'm not going to wait.
I have the right to judge it.
I am not going to make my kids struggle financially. Because there are other ways to build resilience.
Sure, I agree.
Other than financial struggle. I agree. I'm going to teach you how to do everything else. But when it comes to money, because financials are a trigger for me as a mother, I'm not going to make you struggle financially. I'll make you struggle, and emotionally. Because I'm
poor. That's what you're talking about.
Not poor, because, okay, so struggle is,
y'all gonna define poor. It's just whatever you about to say is gonna be poor. You can't make your rent.
Struggle is I ain't got no McDonald's money.
Is that not fucking poor?
No.
I got McDonald's money.
It's not.
Hey, I got McDonald's money, but that don't mean you get to have it.
Saying that you don't have, so you can eat. You got money. You got money to eat.
I can feed you, but you ain't getting that.
But you want this extra shit. You might not get it.
So
if you ain't got McDonald's money,
no,
you are poor.
No.
If you, so my point is,
hold on.
Let me say this. My point is, when you say I don't got McDonald's money, but you do get McDonald's money, but you're not gonna give them the McDonald's because you trying to prove to them that
you need
they
some
can't
Wingstop.
get what they want when they want it.
Oh,
That's dumb.
No, that's
Go
not what
get
I'm
them
saying.
kids a cheeseburger.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm
Take
saying
the
is,
fuck
and
out.
I'm gonna pass it to Will. What
Get
I'm
the
saying
kids a
is,
but I
cheeseburger
think
and
he
I-
brings up
now.
an interesting
if
question
I'm
about
in-
resilience.
if I'm
Yeah, how do
in
you build resilience?
college, I'm just move this forward.
Yeah.
From I'm 8. All right, I'm in college, and you've given me an allowance to get fed for the month, or the semester, or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
You got a meal plan, or whatever the
Okay.
case may be. And I'm saying whatever extra you want, you got to figure out on your own. You're not starving, but you might not be able to afford Gino's East.
There you go.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
You got to
I
figure
agree
out.
with that.
You got to figure out
Yeah.
how to get Gino's East
Yeah.
outside of what I've given you.
Or you just eat
That's why
ramen
kids
noodles.
start selling drugs.
Or you eating,
Them ramen
or
noodles.
you.
That's why
I
they be
gave you a
selling
month's
weed.
worth of grocery money. You ate that shit up in 2 weeks.
Been there, done that.
Figure that shit out.
Nope, because I don't want you to be selling weed.
They ain't gonna be selling weed.
Yeah, they will.
No, they won't.
I
They'll
mean,
figure that
I,
shit out.
I
And
feel
they
you on
will.
They'll
that.
figure that
And
shit
they
out.
will.
If you give them an allowance and they blow
They'll
it, then
eat
they need
cereal.
to.
If
They'll
they ghetto
eat-
kids, then
they'll
They
eat
got
cereal.
friends.
They'll-
They got friends.
they'll
They'll
be
figure
fine.
it out.
They'll be like, you better go fuck some bitches and get fed.
Yes. So
Like I
Ryan,
did.
Ryan,
Sorry.
Yikes.
that's true. But
Well,
then y'all judge women who be like, "Can you take me to dinner?"
That's why it's so important though to start the process of
Then
them
y'all
paying for their
judge
own
us.
shit now. I mean, because they get the allowance. You want something else? You had the money for it. You did something else with it. You don't have it now.
Very true.
Now, like I said, all those flowery things before, but it don't come without rules, right? So, like as an example, when my kids go to college, I told them if I got to pay for it, you go to Purdue. Purdue ain't raised their tuition since 2007, 2009, some shit like that. Like, so you got Purdue money all day, right?
Mhm.
You want to go somewhere else? Better have a scholarship, or you getting Purdue money from me, and you gonna figure it out. And so again, it's that partnership, right? I'm telling you, I got a limit.
Ain't nothing wrong having no skin in the game. Nothing wrong with having skin in the game.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I got a limit, right? I might be able to do more for you, but right now I got a limit, which is you getting 11,000 times 2, and you're gonna figure that out for tuition, room and board is another 10. And so they got 20,000 a year. And so some of my kids, one of them will look at me and go, I'm gonna get a scholarship so I can go where the hell I want to. Cool. The other one looks at me and says, I'm gonna figure out how to use $20,000. And I'm like, cool. These are the answers that I need them to be thinking about. So they understand that they got to do something in order to continue to go forward.
Mhm.
It's not just gonna be me, unless they want to go to Purdue.
But if they don't,
Let me put this
Go
on.
ahead,
Let me
babe.
add to this too.
Go ahead.
And then go
Go
ahead. So, with unbeknownst, and I hope they don't watch. I know they ain't. To them, I know they don't.
Devin watches right now. Like, what
He
you
might
gonna
be
say,
like, what you
nigga?
gonna say? I
Mike.
said, listen, we're gonna do this to a certain point, and you have to take a loan out for this percentage or this piece.
Wow,
So you got
really?
We talking about college?
College.
Okay.
Wow.
So you got skin in the game. But if you and I didn't tell this to him, but if you graduate on time or nearly on time, boom, 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 that loan is mine. But I want you to have some investment in this. So you just don't you don't just get this, I got it because my daddy got it. Daddy got it, but it ain't my daddy, it ain't daddy's future. So you got to have some skin in the game. But if you do what you're supposed to do, that loan is mine and it's done.
Not so. Okay. So back to Will. If your kids come to you and they don't get the scholarship, will you pay for the school that they want to go to?
No, they're gonna get Purdue money.
See, I can't.
And then they're gonna say, hey,
it.
I'm making a conscious decision,
I can't
especially
do
the
it.
engineer
I can't
of
do
all
it.
people, the
That's
engineer
what I'm saying. I can't
is looking
do
at me
it.
like, hey, are you not gonna go to Purdue when you
I
got
can't
this
do
money
it.
free ride? Are you serious?
I
Okay,
can't
cool.
do it.
Hey, say he wants to go to Duke.
Can't
Duke's
do it.
80 grand a year.
Can't do it.
And I'm looking at him like, hey, bro, I got 20.
Can't do
What
it.
you gonna do about that 60? And we can talk about over time how we get rid of that 60 per year.
No.
But at the end of the day,
Nah.
making that decision, you're gonna have to really have some cost benefit analysis to look at, is Duke really worth it when I got this at home?
My kids are not a business deal.
But I don't
I'm
think
not
that's
going
what
to,
he's.
and I'm not going to treat my kids like they're a business
Everything's
deal.
a business deal.
Hey, we talk about education. Go where you want to go. The number one thing I say is if my kids get into a school and I can't afford it, I'm gonna take the loan. I don't want you to take the loan. I want you to go to school, get the education, be whatever you want. I have a child that wants to be a Supreme Court justice.
Nice.
She may never get there, but if she's chasing that, I'm going to fund that. I'm not gonna tell you, well, you gotta work and you gotta blah, blah. She wanted to. We moved to the suburbs for the sole purpose so that these kids could go to the school down the street, right? Because we was in the city. Let's go to the suburbs. He goes to school down the street. We got to the suburbs. My daughter's like, I don't want to go to that school because ultimately I want my oldest. Ultimately, I want to go to Yale, and I'm not going to be able to go right. And I want to go to Yale, and I'm not going to be able to go to Yale if I go to X school. So I want to go to this school. I said, do you realize that I moved to the suburbs and bought this big ass house so that you could go to the school down the street?
You may want to explain to her there are a lot of kids that go to Lindblom that go to Yale. She can absolutely go to Yale.
Hold on. But her mama don't have the capacity for the CPS bullshit.
No. What I'm saying is
I don't.
That's not my point.
So let me finish my point. So my point is, I told her, you can't go to this school unless you get a scholarship. If you get a scholarship to this high school, you can go.
That's skin in the game.
Pause. She said, okay, her grades on point, blah, 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 on point, everything on point. She is in the 99th percentile for the state of Illinois. It's not grades. It's my income that is preventing her from getting scholarship money. They're like, y'all don't need it.
Because you could afford it.
You can afford it, okay? It's not her grades. She worked her ass off. It's my income. So what I'm gonna tell her? Well, I'm gonna tell her, you can't go. You can't go to that school. You can't go to that school because you ain't getting no scholarship.
That's fair.
Your skin in the game.
Casey, how old are your kids? How old are your kids?
My kids are 13 and 14.
Will, how old are your kids?
13 and 14.
Really? My kids are 13 and 14.
There's also
a toddler there.
I don't have no toddlers, but I have a 13 and 14-year-old.
How does your
She'll be 12 in a couple of weeks.
She'll
be 12 in a couple of weeks.
No,
12 in a couple.
Ain't nobody got no dollars for none of y'all. I got dollars for my children.
Hey. So
that's because he put it on
don't be paying attention to this ass. So
tell you go knock on that door, it's gonna be
this crazy ass. So I guess my circling back, there's a lot of ways to think about it.
She can still go, is my point.
Yeah. And she should.
She can absolutely go to Yale. That her school does not stop
whatever.
that.
She should go to the school, the high school.
She can go wherever she wants
because she's done what she's supposed to.
I get the
she
part
did
about
the work. She can go.
It's Erica's fault. She can't go to the school she want to go to on
scholarship.
Hey,
goddamn,
well, it's your fault. So what I'm supposed to do? If I was on government assistance, I wouldn't even have
if you were like
no
white
more.
people, you would put under her grandma's name and then she gets some scholarships. But that's how white folks do it.
That's how black people do it.
That's how
I do it. Shit, I ain't about to lie.
Hey, my nephew uses my address. He go to good school too.
My point
is,
she did her part.
With me now.
She did her part.
And I'm not gonna penalize.
So I guess
fair.
So this is the point of this conversation. If it's easy to say when they're doing their part, I do. I got your back as long as you're doing your part.
Correct.
What if they're kind of not doing their part?
Then you go live with your daddy.
You keep saying that shit. At what point? At what point does them not holding up their end of the bargain, whatever that means to you?
Correct. Okay.
Whatever that means to you.
Okay.
At what point do you say I'm doing you a disservice by holding you up because you've shown me you're not doing your part?
Yeah, I accelerate that partnership. I accelerate their side of that partnership really quickly. Right. So at 18 is an example.
That's fine.
You said, hey, we're not doing college. We're not doing the army. We're not doing the job. Hey, it looks like you need to start, owning 90% of this kind of now, as opposed to, 10 years from now when I envisioned it for you. I think that's what it is. It's just, you kind of just have to put them on to the point where they're on their own trajectory. I think that can be literally at any time. Hell,
facts.
I went over my brother's house and kicked out his kid one day. I'm the muscle of the family. I went and kicked the kid out one day because I was like, "Hey, man, you ain't."
Toya agree.
He wasn't doing what the fuck he was supposed to do. It was like, "Hey, you don't need to be here. Go kick it outside for a couple days." They were like, he came back with a whole different attitude. That shit will get people right. Suffering does bring some real change
and perspective.
Absolutely,
when you do it right.
When you do it right. Agreed.
Yeah, being poor is motivation to a significant amount of people.
Everybody,
me included.
Everybody who y'all talking about the only people be concerned about that is black people.
I ain't say nothing about that. I said being poor.
This is different. So we talking about that because ultimately, hold on.
Sure?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, what people are talking about,
most poor people white.
Okay,
that's
never mind.
Well, that's more anything is white.
You got money, but I was reading the comments, but a lot of people who be like, somebody just said something about being in debt because of their kids or something is a bad decision. We not talking. It was up there somewhere.
I think it was one of those. I think she actually said it was a bad decision to allow.
Debt and high tuition for undergrad is a bad decision.
Exactly. That's for
I
them,
agree with
though.
that.
That's for them though. I don't want them to offer that bad start. That's why I'm telling you, bruh. If I'm giving you 20
I'm
racks
not gonna
a
let
year,
my kids go into
you
debt
should
for
probably
me.
take this 20 racks.
Hey,
I can tell you how bad it was when I had 100
Nope.
racks in student loans and I had to use the Army in order to get it back. I can tell you how bad that story is. I'm gonna give you another avenue.
Y'all should have waited until Biden forgave.
Right? So.
Well, that ship has sailed.
First of all, fuck y'all. Everybody got their shit forgiven.
And I would not be surprised.
It took me 17 years to get it done.
Fucking hating ass.
I'm a hater.
I ain't got a long
ass bitch.
I only had 8,000. I'm still mad I paid that shit.
Right, man. They
had 100 racks.
Still.
But my point is, I would take on loan debt for my children. I wouldn't let my children start their life with debt because the most successful among us, that man that's sitting in the White House, has filed bankruptcy 11 times.
Facts.
And he is still sitting in the White House. Can I say this? Yes, I have an uncle that routinely racks up debt, files bankruptcy. Racks up debt, files bankruptcy. Racks up debt, files bankruptcy. I'm 40. He been doing it my whole life.
That's his.
Goddamn.
That's his MO.
I need to change my life course.
No, I mean,
I'm not saying change your life course, but what I'm saying is the only people who be worried about, I'm not paying this and I'm not paying this and I'm not paying it is us. Well, they don't give a fuck.
I will say
but how many of them are actually in a good position?
A lot of them.
But that's the thing, though.
A lot.
No,
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people we work with. No. And I say this all the time. Okay, and I'm gonna say this last point because I know we over time. I'm gonna say this last point.
We got 5
minutes. When I first started working in corporate, and I was corporate, like the only Black person that worked where I was working corporate. Okay, when I first started working in corporate America, every single one of my white friends at work, their parents were paying their rent, their cell phone bill, their utilities, whatever. Their parents were paying for everything because they were allowing their kids to get established.
I get it, but
if they were Indian, white, Mexican, it did not matter. The only people that were paying for themselves at that point in our careers were the Black people.
I just want to ask a question though. And my friends 100% will tell you this. And I got a lot of white friends. I played a white sport, got a lot of white friends. They will look at you and say, man, I missed out on something between like 21 and 25 because I didn't do shit. I just had it handed to me. Then when they had to do shit, they like, yo, this shit's hard.
And maybe because I'm a woman. So maybe it's because I'm a woman and I'm talking about, well, no, because I had male friends too. So let me finish my statement. They didn't pay for shit. They didn't pay cell phone bills. They didn't pay utilities. They didn't pay rent. I had friends whose parents literally bought property that, like, if they lived in Highland Park, their parents bought property downtown so that their kids could 100%. Walk 5 steps to work.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Sure. That makes sense.
What was we doing? Black people was telling their kids, "Oh, you graduated. You should be able to take care of yourself."
That's also be fair.
And listen to what I'm saying. This is how we set our children up at a disadvantage to the people who do not look like them. Because I earned the same job. I went to the same schools. I did the same thing that they did every single day. My check went to my expenses. Their checks went in their bank accounts.
I want to ask you 2 questions to that. And I feel where you're going with it. Drink some water behind that. Could your people afford to do what their people could afford to do?
What do you mean?
Could they afford to buy you a house in wherever so you could walk 5 steps and work? Probably not.
But you can.
Not the question I'm asking you. Not the question I'm asking.
Okay, go ahead. Nope. My mama and them
couldn't do it. So that's one thing. Second thing.
My mama and them couldn't.
Or did they use those benefits? And some of them did, and probably some of them didn't. Did they use that leg up to get a leg up for themselves? Or did they trick that shit off and they in the same or worse position you are in now?
They used it to get a leg up. Number one. The people that
I
worked with.
Saying that he don't.
I'm saying that my people, the people who I was around, used it to get a leg up. And you said, did my parents have the ability? No, but we do. We have the ability to set a different course for our children.
Agree.
Hey,
We do.
So because we have the ability to set a different course for our children, why don't we?
The question is, are we doing them a
Why would
service?
I want my kids to struggle the way that I struggle when they don't
No,
have
they'll
to?
never struggle the way I struggle.
Not
I
the
grew
way
up with Robert
right.
Taylor.
But should
Come
they
on now.
struggle
And
a
I
little
grew
bit?
up, and my kids will never struggle the way that I struggle, but I
Not the
really
way you
honestly
struggle.
don't want my kids to struggle at
I
all.
want my kids to struggle a little bit.
Baby, I want my kids to live the
But
soft
wait,
life.
Erica, go back
I
to
want
your
my
your
kids to live
question that
the
you asked
soft
us.
life,
You
baby.
need to have some resilience some kind of way. Now, you don't have to do it through
My kids have
financial,
different resilience. They build it in different ways. It's just not financial.
but you have to not get something. You
Mm-mm.
have to be. You have to have something as a deficit to have some resilience.
Oh, they got resilience,
that's-
but it's not money.
Well, that's fine.
Then how are they ever going to figure out how to have
For some
financial
resilience.
resilience?
They have financial resilience, but I build it in different ways.
Okay, but then that
I build it in
that's
different
not what
ways.
you just said.
Okay.
But I feel that.
My kids have financial resilience, but they build it in different ways. In my opinion, they build it in ways that are equivalent to where they are in life. My kids are 13 and 14. If they need face wash, I'm not going to tell them they can't get face wash because they ain't got no money. Right?
What are you telling them they can't
bad.
get? What are you telling them they can't get?
Frivolous things.
Like
an app.
Yeah, app. They can't get no Robux because you ain't got no money. You ain't got no
fucking Robux.
That's not.
Eric, I'm done with you right now. Oh, fuck you.
I'm
Eric,
trying to think.
you know what you're trying to think?
I'm trying to think.
You know why you trying to think? Because them motherfuckers ain't struggling at all. Will,
Yo,
You right? Because I sent my kids to
I know
Ulta
this.
with my
I
Ulta
know
card
this.
the other
I
day. I
know
was
this.
like, go off, B.
I know this.
Go out,
Will.
baby.
so back to that idea of
And I'm
partnership.
not-
And
I'm
you
not
said something
ashamed of it
that made
either.
some sense to me.
I'm not.
And what we talked about, which is, hey, let's say one of them go to Purdue, right? And I don't want to pay room and board for a year. So I say, hey, I'm going to buy a house on Purdue's campus.
Mm-hmm.
You can live in it, right? I'm getting something out of it. Because again, it's property. I get some equity out of it.
Mm-hmm.
They get to live. I'm not paying that on top, right? And then when that's done, I say, hey, now that you have finished school, you can run this and rent it out. Now I've given you something.
Facts.
And now you are a part of the process.
Facts.
Partnership, right? And so then they say, okay, now I got a piece of, I have some equity, I have a property. I can make some money myself along with going to school, getting a job and doing all the other stuff. Again, if we have those conversations about how we can make a partnership out of it, I'm down for whatever. They won't struggle, but they'll work. And then
my kids work.
But then in that struggle, there's gonna be some times where they're like,
13
hey,
and 14 work where?
No, we have
Yeah.
no. They have
Well,
chores.
finish.
They gotta make money to get.
They took out the garbage, $20.
Right.
Get your ass out of here.
You're right, because I do get on $20 for basic shit.
but then,
I made that shit in my head, but I do.
but then
But I'm loving what Will is saying.
I'm like,
let's
you
go to the
vacuum
other side of that
$20.
though. Let's say they decide to go somewhere like Notre Dame, which is 65 racks a year. I still do the same thing. I still buy the house. I still give them the 20 racks. But then it's like, hey, what are we gonna do with this 45? Okay, so now they're saying, hey, I'm gonna take loans. I'm like, bro, that's not a good idea. I'm gonna tell you what those loans. I'm gonna tell you what those loans are gonna do for you. And I'm not taking them for you. So let's talk about what we do to make that 45. Well, I can go work. All right, let's talk about work. Let's figure out how much we can make in a year to make up that difference. Again, it's a partnership. They say, hey, you buy the house. I'm gonna live on campus, but I'm gonna rent the house out. And we're gonna make the money that way. Oh shit! Now we talking.
That's smart.
Now we thinking.
Yeah, we got to work through it.
Now we thinking.
Exactly though, but they got to bring something to the table. It's a value identification and realization that they got to bring.
And
Bring something to the table.
and you're building
too, always.
Kids.
You're
What
building
he's saying
skills.
is they have to bring ideas to the
I'm
table.
raising white kids, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, as long as,
All right.
I'm gonna raise white
I went Will on
Until
this
the
one.
day that I don't have to raise white kids no more.
Okay.
They can raise their kids like that.
I'm with that. I've always told my daughter she needs scholarships wherever she go. I don't give a fuck where she's going.
Oh,
Like,
ain't you paying for? You not paying for school?
no, she needs to get scholarships, 1000%.
Oh,
My
yeah.
brother is
Oh,
an
I was gonna say something
my
very
brother is an
rude. God,
ophthalmologist.
dog.
My brother was not poor. My brother got all scholarships where he went to undergrad and medical school.
College is different than high school. In elementary
Not
school.
just say for
In
undergrad
Chicago.
and medical
you said
school.
Undergrad and med, that's college, baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She gets scholarships for her school now. I know how to work the system. That's not a problem.
No,
But
it's your zip
I
code,
actually, one day I called her. I was like, "How
There's
you
ways
paying
around
for
it.
this
It's your
damn
zip
school?"
code,
And she was
sugar,
like, "Oh,
man.
Sally got scholarships." I was like,
live
"Yep,
around poor
okay."
people. They give
It's
me
your
money.
Zip code, sugar. That's what says your zip code.
I'm poor.
Hey, look,
Well,
she-
that
she's
not
your
just
zip
that, not just that, but
It's your
but my
zip code.
point is, to
It's not your
me,
income, it's your zip
her. I'm not about to say that because somebody from that school could be watching. Anywho,
code.
my conversation with her is she has to get scholarships, and that's not because I don't want to pay for her. Quite frankly, I feel like me and her father have enough student loans that the three of us should never have to pay anything ever again. But there's a strategy for her to do it, and she has to learn that strategy. She has to figuring out how to get money for school is a life skill.
I agree.
And that's why I'm making her do that. So she learns that life skill of going after it, figuring out, filling out them applications, doing the essay, doing the interviews, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I know we need to go. So that's just my philosophy around scholarships. You got to figure out that money for yourself.
My kids did the same. Sydney did the same. She did all the scholarship applications. She got her grades on point. She did everything. And they told me no. So now I'm going to pay because you did what you're supposed to do. And that's my point. If they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Going to Harold Washington.
And I think, right. Because you get the right, hey, if you go to CPS, you get the right shit. That's free. But that's not neither here nor there. I think the point is, what we're saying is if we want to invest in our kids' future, and I think we're all for that. But I think what we also want to do is our kids have to understand they have to invest in their own future. And if we're not making them have any skin in the game or anything they're doing, it's hard to teach them those lessons. And the point of this conversation, we kind of got off it was, if they're not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, how much responsibility, to Erica's point, maybe you failed.
Yeah.
How much responsibility do you bear in carrying them, and how long do we get there? And we might have to pick that up another time.
Let's continue that one.
We'll talk. Well, that's another conversation. But we are at time, and I do want to give everybody, and we talked about a lot in this show. And usually we say, give you a minute to say whatever you want to say, and I'm still going to give you that minute. We talked a lot of topics. We talked about a lot of things. Close out with any final thoughts you want to have on anything we've discussed this evening. It can be about whatever. And I'm going to start with Will.
Please.
I know race is important. I know Black culture is important. But don't lose sight of the fact that the rich, the 1%, don't want us there. And if we figure out, and we continue to work towards the idea of closing the gap between us and the 1%, that will be significantly more important to everything we do besides talking about the divisiveness of race. I'm telling you, we got to figure out how we get them to stop controlling everything we do.
Okay.
Love it. Erica?
Go that way, because I need to.
My co-hostess goes second to last, and I wrap it up.
I'm gonna go. Let's do men and women.
That's not how we do it.
Let's go men and women. Can we go men and women?
Boo Boo is my show. I wrap this motherfucker up.
So can we go boy, girl?
I'll tell you what, I'll let Sean.
Oh boy, and you a girl. What is going on?
You a girl. I'm still trying to formulate my thoughts.
My shit is fucking sweet. Fuck rich white men. I don't really have anything to add on top of that. I'm really building off of Will's point, right? I think we get really discombobulated in Target and these organizations when the real enemy is rich white men. And if we just focus on that would get us much further in life.
Okay. Then I'm gonna say, since y'all focused on that, and I agree with both y'all, I'm gonna go back to the kids' point because it bothers me so bad. Y'all stop making y'all kids struggle for shit y'all got. We struggled enough for the shit that we got. There's a fine line between accountability, having skin in the game, and making kids struggle for shit that they shouldn't have to struggle for. Black people have just your kids turn 18, they're not adults. Their brain ain't even fully developed. Give your kids some grace. Give them the grace that you wish you would have had when you were their age. I'm not saying give them everything they ask for, but figure out what that grace is. Give them what you wish you would have had, because then they get to give your grandkids what they wish they would have had. Like, I don't want my grandkids to struggle like me because I was trying to make my kids live like I lived. It's not cool. So that's all I'm saying.
All right, bet.
Not think, sugar sandwiches. Goddamn, damn.
Oh
my God.
Drink powdered milk. God damn.
Jeez, I need a project. What is going on?
Focus so full of shit.
Because you pissed him off.
My bad, Focus. First of all, let me say, as always, thank you for our guests for joining us tonight. I appreciate your perspectives. You all have a lot of angles and intellectual things you said. Right, I appreciate you coming out here and being frank and honest and bearing your souls. As always, I appreciate you all for being here with us. As always, appreciate my co-hostess for doing what she do. And I'll say this: a lot of what we discussed tonight, a lot of what we discuss all the time, falls on racial lines. And it's not that we intend to do it. It's just that we are a Black podcast with Black people talking about Black things. So what I will say is, summing up everything we've discussed tonight, we've got to figure out a way for us to move in the most positive direction that benefits us. Be that a boycott, be that raising our kids, be that figuring out how we want to work and the areas we want to make sure we're happening or occupying spaces in corporate America or outside of corporate America. I'm not saying that we're a monolith and we're always going to agree on every point in how we move. But what I am going to say is I hope that we always figure out a way to support each other in any way any of us happen to move, even if we somewhat disagree with it, as long as it's for the betterment of us all.
Yeah.
And by us all, I mean us all. So, hey, great show. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Appreciate everybody that watched. We right back here, same bad time, same bad channel. For all you people my age that know what that means. Next week, Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. Central Time. Love y'all. See you next week.
In the Zone podcast. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone podcast. In the Zone.